Now that is an AB. Just took the Cardinals closer yard.
Fly ball headed to right center field. From right comes Walker. Makes the catch. Here comes Laureano. Throw to the plate. Ball game over. Padres walk it off. Manny Machado, the sac fly. Mother's Day walk-off.
What I love about this is you got a clubhouse that's pretty pissed right now. And that says something to not coming into this series feeling good about just splitting with these guys. They wanted to get Miller yesterday. They wanted to take the series and prove what they're all about. So I like the fact that the mood is what it is. The expectations are high, and I love it.
That's what it sounded like on Padres TV, and that voice was Ollie Marmol coming after the Cardinals. Lose the last two games, but split the series in San Diego. Alex, they just went through a gauntlet of what we thought was going to be 17 games in 17 days. Ultimately was 16 games over the course of 17 days. And I got to tell you, I left this stretch feeling every bit as positive about the Cardinals as I felt about them going in. I understand you lost 3 in a row. You got swept by the Seattle Mariners. Not once during that series did I feel as though you were like completely outclassed by Seattle, though. You left this series against San Diego, only getting the split. You were a strike away from winning 3 out of 4. And, man, you were a little bit away from winning all 4 of those games against the San Diego Padres. This is a team that against Pittsburgh, who's in the race at least, against Seattle, who is, I believe, going to be a legit contender by the end of the season, against the Dodgers, who are the World Series favorites in everybody's eyes, against the Brewers, and then ultimately against the Padres, who have one of the, I believe, 4 best records in the National League right now. You looked the part of a contender. How long will that sustain? How long will we be able to say that about the 2026 St. Louis Cardinals? I do not know. But for right now, we're a quarter of the way through the regular season. They're on pace for more than 90 wins this year. The offense is in the top half of the league over this 16-game stretch. The pitching has been in the top half of the league by basically every metric. I don't know how you can come out of this stretch feeling anything other than optimistic about the St. Louis Cardinals, despite the last 2 games going the other direction. How are you feeling today about your St. Louis Cardinals, Alex?
Just what you said, optimistic. When we went into that stretch of 17 games, you guys asked the confidence meter, and I said 1. And at the time, I really thought this was going to be the series, the stretch that ended them. That kind of was like June of last year to where they just fell out quick, and you were like, oh, okay, this is the Cardinals. And when they lost that series against the Mariners, you're right. They never felt out of it, but they still lost it. And that's why I was like, okay, this is probably the start of that stretch. And then all credit to them, man. They go out there and they just whoop up on the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think, to me, the real telling series, which I know didn't fully get finished, was that Brewers one. That first win against the Brewers where they won 6-3 was a moment that I was like, oh, okay, I'm on board with this. Because for the last 3 years, it's always felt like the Brewers have been the big brother. And it's always felt like you go up against that Brewers team with the pitching and their defense and they're just scrappy hitters, that you're going to lose. But they not only split that series because, of course, the one was rained out. But, man, they just looked like the better team in that first one that they played against them. The second one, I know it was a blowout, or somewhat of a blowout when you go 6-2. But at that point, it felt like everything was kind of settling down after that rain out. So I looked at what this team did. What is it, 9-7 in the 16 games? I had no belief that they would be above 500 going into that 17-game stretch. And the fact that you pull out of that with 2 series wins, 2 splits, and then a Mariners series that you were pretty darn close with. Yeah, it's hard to not look at this Cardinals team and say, regardless of what happens with the pitching, you're going to be in the playoff positioning all season long.
Yeah, to me, you just look at the way they're losing, and they're close. They're competitive. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds like such a loser's mentality, but it is really important. You want to be close and you want to be competitive when you're losing these games, because that means you're always going to have a shot. Right? If you're winning games and then you're losing really close, yes, the margin for error in that is pretty thin. Like, they're not beating the crap out of a lot of these teams, right? Even their wins over the weekend were pretty damn close. You look back at that Friday night game where you've got the Little League inside the park home run. You're, a misplay away from that one being right on the razor's edge as well. But man, they're making stuff happen, whether it's on the bases or just making defensive plays and then making the opposition pay when they don't make those defensive plays. It feels as though they've just got a little something within this group, and it makes me believe in them. It makes me watch these games, and I get excited to watch the Cardinals right now. Jordan Walker with an absolute monster shot yesterday. What a ridiculous home run. I know what the numbers say. That was 425. That's what the StatCast numbers say.
Fell short.
Okay, sure, yeah. As I see that thing, and it is still flying through the air as it hits the upper deck of the building in left field. Yeah, that looks a hell of a lot more than 425, but whatever. Neither here nor there. Whether it's that or the J.J. Weatherholt inside the park home run, you're seeing stuff right now that when we get to the end of the year, these are going to be on highlight packages for the St. Louis Cardinals in 2026. And it's some big-time moments, man. And they're doing it against big-time opponents. That was a big-time series with 40,000 plus in attendance each and every one of those games. I just didn't think this team was going to be capable of any of this stuff. Like Michael McGreevy, the pitching performance we saw out of him over the weekend, I didn't know he had that in him. The pitching performance yesterday by Kyle Leahy. I'll be honest, guys. I didn't know he was going to be this good as a 5-and-dive type of a starter. I didn't think he had that in him. I think we've seen really good starts for like 6 in a row now from Dustin May, where it looks like they might have fixed him. They tinkered with all the knobs, and it's working, man. I don't know what exactly they were able to do to unlock his arsenal, but Dustin May looks the part of, I don't know, a mid-rotation starter. He hasn't looked like that in like 5 years in Major League Baseball. So I've been super impressed.
I was looking at the schedule last night, and I'm curious, and I don't know how far you guys have looked deep into it.
I don't know exactly what you're getting to.
I know we play 4 division opponents coming up soon.
What I'm saying is that you just went on that 17-game stretch, and that was the moment that I was like, oh, okay, Cardinals aren't going to survive this one. Is there another stretch that you feel that way about?
I mean, I think the one that can sink or swim your season will be that one that I just made reference to, which is you've got 4 straight series coming up towards the end of the month, which will be against the Reds, Pirates, Brewers, and Cubs. Now, I can't remember exactly which one's homes or away because I don't have the schedule in front of me, but that's the stretch that will potentially be the one that is the next kind of litmus test as to, okay, are you a contender in this division, or are you going to kind of fall off, because that would be where it could happen.
I hadn't looked at the schedule, to be total full disclosure. Like, I'm kind of playing this thing week by week, much less
you're playing the old Ollie Marmol method, day by day.
They at the end of June, going into early July,
that was what I looked at.
3 at Atlanta, 3 at Wrigley, and then 5 at home against Milwaukee over the course of 4 days, and then 3 more right before the break against Atlanta. So yeah, that to me feels like a stretch that I would have circled. But going up until then, you've got some games where you should be able to take advantage of some of these teams that are coming up on your schedule.
And that's the reason I asked it, because, like, you look at the wild card standings, and I know it's only May, but still, like, you're above the Pirates, the Reds, Diamondbacks, Phillies, all these teams. Like, you can keep your head above water thanks to that schedule. That July one is where it feels like it's make or break where your team is at moving forward.
Yeah, you're feeling pretty good about it right now. As of today, are 3.5 back in the division. The Cubs just look like they're clearly the class of the NL Central. They right now might be the best team in Major League Baseball, honestly. But beyond them, you've got the Braves at the top of the NL East. They're very good. The Padres and the Dodgers are both really good. I think you saw that over the course of the last week in the NL West. And then you're battling it out for that second tier in the National League right now, along with Milwaukee, Pittsburgh. That's kind of the group of teams right now that are there with you in the National League right now. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you guys want to get involved in the show, the way to do so is 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line. You can always check us out on YouTube as well at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. I do apologize for some of the technical difficulties that we are having trying to get these cameras fixed as soon as possible, but for right now, we got the overhead cam going. So we do apologize for any of those issues that are taking place on the YouTube stream currently. Coming up in 15 minutes, the Cardinals are getting super aggressive in one of their young players' development. We'll tell you a little bit about that coming up at 1:30. But coming up next, we're going to be joined by Steve Ott, Springfield Thunderbirds head coach, as the Thunderbirds continue their playoff push, getting back in action tomorrow night. We'll talk to Steve Ott about that next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex Ferrario, I'm Brandon Kiley. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Happy to go out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by Steve Ott, the Springfield Thunderbirds head coach. Thunderbirds back in action tomorrow night for Game 1 of their series against the Penguins after they just pulled off the biggest upset in the history of the AHL playoffs. Steve,
Well, guys, and appreciate you having me on, and also having our games broadcasted. I heard that in St. Louis, and got a lot of great feedback that you guys are doing that. So a lot of great things.
It's been awesome, and we're thrilled to be able to continue to do that. People will be able to hear the game right here on 101 ESPN tomorrow night. That begins at 5:50. Steve, very simple question here, maybe a little bit more of a complicated answer, but how did you guys do this? How did you pull off the biggest upset that anybody's ever seen in the AHL playoffs?
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't even know it was that until after the game. I guess the biggest thing with that, I never really thought it was an upset, even the Charlotte series, because I expected us to win. And that was our mindset. We think we have a strong team. We've proved it, and we got to continue to prove it again. And that's the buy-in that we've gotten from all the players. The work ethic has been, exceptional, and you give yourselves a chance to win playing the right way. And you add on great goaltending, the team comes together, and you get to be victorious in the series.
Steve, that's where I wanted to go first with you, was just Romanov's play. I mean, I think a lot of people saw him acquired by the Blues in the offseason and were like, oh, this will be an interesting, another young goaltender. And people may not realize that Zarenka was the one that started this series, and Romanov, the moment he stepped in, I think I saw that he has given up a total of 5 goals, if I'm not mistaken, in that series against Providence. Talk to me about the growth of this kid and just what you've seen throughout the end of the regular season, throughout this postseason.
Well, first of all, yeah, I've been very proud of him. I remember when I was actually in St. Louis and Dave Alexander had mentioned his name that we might pick him up, and we end up picking him up. And obviously he's been here, and Dan Stewart, our goalie coach down here, has done a phenomenal job with him. The last couple months wasn't easy. We were rotating 3 goalies a lot. He missed some starts, and him personally just worked, and he found another level to his pro career that I don't think he had seen yet, and that's what he did the last couple months to prepare for this situation. He came into that Charlotte series. I thought he was exceptional. His puck play, making exit plays, even was high end, and then he was exceptional in the Providence series. Now, I think it's just a microcosm of everything. His play, our team play, it's the right way, and at the end of the day, it's helping the team.
Steve, how much does Davey Alexander work with these guys throughout the season? I know you mentioned Dan Stewart as the goaltending coach, but how much communication does Alexander have?
Well, I think, that being his department, he's very hands-on with Dan Stewart, and they talk almost daily about every situation that's going on, even though Dave has his own job to do with obviously Benner and Hof. But the communication's excellent in the organization, led by Davey, and Dan, like I said, has done a phenomenal job with all 3 goalies, and we're continuing to push it.
Steve Ott joining us here on 101 ESPN. His Springfield Thunderbirds back in playoff action tomorrow night. You'll be able to hear that game right here on 101 ESPN tomorrow, beginning at 5:50. Steve, you guys got some reinforcements in the last series right at the end there with Jiricek and Carbonneau joining you guys for that one. What did you see from them in their first appearance at the AHL level, and what are you expecting out of them in this next series?
Well, first of all, they came in and had to help us. We had a lot of injuries in that series. It was a very tough physical series, and we were losing bodies pretty heavily at one point. So they came in, gave us fresh legs, fresh young energy, and both guys, I thought, played well. And both reasons why, team game, why we won. Yuri has got a step that's, his skating ability, his step, his read. He's aggressive in all 3 zones, and that's to defend. He's aggressive up the ice, off the rush. He's aggressive. Offensively, he's aggressive. So, he's got that triple threat to him as a defenseman, and he's going to be a good one for a long time. And Carbo's more of a power forward. He had 3 great scoring chances in that, that first game. But also, both guys are in that learning process. It's a big step coming from junior. both have great, pedigrees out of junior, and taking that next step is going to be big for them. And to play these important games, especially that type of game after both players had lost almost the night before in their series, and it was, pretty down negative time for them as individuals. They come here and have one of the biggest pro wins, if not, the biggest pro win, definitely of their career, I should say. And it's huge for, young players to be put in those situations.
That's what I wanted to ask you about as a follow-up to that, Steve, is, it's one thing to go up to the AHL level after juniors. It's another thing entirely to join the team in the middle of a playoff push. What can this do for them in terms of the atmosphere, the environment, and just the experience that they're able to get while they're in the playoffs with you guys?
Well, I think the first thing is they're playing pro hockey at the highest level in the American League that will hope to translate one day to the NHL. And this is invaluable. The way the pace is, the physicality, how you have to manage games, especially in a 0-0 game, for example, that last one. There's so many learning experiences that they're taking in at such a young age that they just haven't seen before. And which I love is both kids, with all the other young players, they're taking this in and they're loving every minute of it.
Steve, I remember after training camp when Carbonneau was sent down, Monty talked a little bit about, they want him to work on the defensive side of his game. Carbonneau was with us on Friday, and he also mentioned that the biggest focus for him in the junior season was the defensive side of the puck. I know it was only one game, but have you seen differences just in the style that he plays on the defensive side versus what you saw at the beginning of the season in training camp?
Oh, for sure. I think there's definitely learning details that will continue to improve. And we sat together actually yesterday and we did some film, and he was very responsive. He loves the information, which was great. And I told him, it's just a step that he's taken in his own career. And that's part of it, is the defensive side of it. We know he's an elite shooter. He's a heavy player that goes, to the net. And when you're playing, 25 minutes in junior hockey, there's a tendency to get loopy or not reload and cheat for offense, and that's natural. All of us that went through junior played the exact same way that had any success offensively. Now it's turning it into a pro game where you can try to get the best out of his strengths, but also making sure that he's on structurally the same page as a team.
Steve, you guys are going to have 4 full days off between the end of the last series and the beginning of this one. I know there's a lot of talk of, rust versus rest when you get into the NHL playoffs, for example. How do you guard against the possibility of you coming into this next series a little rusty after such an enthusiastic win in that final game and having these days off?
Well, we handled the situation almost exactly like after the Charlotte series. So, the guys had a day off after that overtime, kind of just, get the rest. The next day we skated, keep our legs. The next day after that, yesterday was an optional day, still healing some bodies up. And then today was a really detailed practice day to be ready to go tomorrow. So for us, we know what makes our team tick. We know what our game looks like, especially our A game. And I thought we saw our B game the other night in the overtime. I didn't think we were the stronger team in that game, but we played a game that gave us a chance to win. And that's where I was proud of this group. So I think, for us, this isn't a feel-out process anymore. We know how we have to do it. And we're going into a really tough barn and a really good team that we're playing against. So we have to make sure those details are at the highest level right from puck drop.
All right, don't sell the farm on the scouting report here, Steve, because we want to keep the secrets within the locker room. But can you tell us a little bit about this Wilkes-Barre-Scranton Penguins team and how to approach them?
Well, for sure. First of all, they have a really good transition game. I think they get up the ice, probably the best that I've seen in the league here. They play fast. Their D are jumping and joining, and they have a lot of skill. And with that, for us, we have to make sure that we're not playing, pass off. We got to make sure we're finishing guys, getting skin, having great stick details, and returning to our own end properly. We do those things. We have to make sure that we're checking for our chances against these guys, and that's staying above because of how well they play and how well their structure is. So for us, we've played that way for a long time right now. I wouldn't expect anything else, but obviously we're up against another good team.
Final question that I've got for you, Steve. I know how the NHL is. I know how hockey is in general with this stuff. But do you have any updates on any of the injured guys? Are you expecting to get some players back once you get into this series?
I do. I think we have a lot of guys that are right on the cusp of returning, if not returning. So, there'll be some coaches' decisions here as we get going, with the relating to all our numbers. But at the same time, we want to make sure we're giving everybody the best opportunity to make our team win. And that's what it's been talked about in our dressing room. Whoever's in that lineup that given night, you're helping us win the game. And that's where we have to stay strong all together. And that's what we've seen in practice here the last little while. And it's great to have that type of problem when injured guys are coming back and they're pushing for a roster spot as well.
All right, Steve, I know you got to catch a bus. I want to ask one more, though, for you before we let you go. Zach Dean has had a really good end of the regular season for the Thunderbirds and the postseason as well. I know he's had a lot that's happened for him this season personally and professionally. Just talk to me a little bit about his development this season and kind of how he's taken those next steps as a pro player.
I think he's taking great strides. First of all, he's a great kid, and he has a 200-foot game. So he loves to work on his draws and his face-offs. Very responsible there. I use him on the penalty kill where he's done a great job for us, and he's playing that second-line center role. Last series it was against Poitras, who was an excellent talent from Providence, and I thought he matched up extremely well. Obviously, scored a big overtime goal in game 3 that kind of helped us out a ton. But his game and the way he's controlling his line is where I see his growth. As a young centerman, playing that type of role, you have to have a 200-foot game where you can make sure you're underneath pucks, but also not limiting him on the scoring side of things. And he's been able to do both.
Well, Otter, man, we really appreciate you hopping on with us again. I love this where we're talking with you almost every week about this playoff push. So I hope we're doing so all the way up to the Calder Cup final, man. Enjoy this round. Have a good luck in it, man. And hopefully we'll be talking to you again after another series win.
Well, I would absolutely love that, guys. And you can count on that if we do. So I appreciate it, boys. Thanks for having me on as always.
Absolutely. Steve Ott.
Steve Ott, the Springfield Thunderbirds head coach, joining us here on 101 ESPN. Again, you can hear their action, their playoff action right here on 101 ESPN tomorrow night. Game 1 against the Penguins starting at 5:50.
I'm looking forward to it, man. Every time I told you guys this, that, after that overtime win, I was watching it, and you see Steve Ott celebrating on the bench with the team, and I texted him afterwards, and I told him, I said, this is incredible to watch, and a couple words that I can't say on air of what he said, but he told me how much fun it is, and so it's so cool to see this with Steve, and personally for me, because, I got to do the interviews with him after every hockey game, and you just hear the coach oozing out of him, but, man, to pull that series off, and now you had to the division final and then potentially a Calder Cup final. So the development of these guys, and I asked about Zach Dean there because, we've talked about Dubé, we talked about Jiricek and Carbonneau and Kaskamaki. I think you have to throw a Zach Dean into the conversation that could potentially fight for one of those roster spots in the offseason.
Certainly hope so. That was the expectation whenever the Blues traded for him. He was a big part of that Ivan Barbashev deal.
Yep.
And if they could get something out of that, that would be ideal. It's just a positive to see these young guys getting this opportunity in the playoffs. There's nothing quite like it. All right, alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into questions and answers. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line for any of your questions here on BK and Ferrario. But next, big news when it comes to one of the top prospects in the Cardinals system. We'll tell you about it next year on 101 ESPN. starts, Michael McGreevy, who's been great in his last few starts, or Kyle Leahy through 5 has been awesome through his last 5 starts. Which one have you changed your outlook on the most?
I think it's Michael McGreevy, and I don't think it's closest with any of the other two. I mean, night and day, I think Michael McGreevy is the one that has changed my outlook, because I thought Michael McGreevy was a perfect 4 or 5 for your rotation in years to come, who isn't going to have swing and miss stuff and is a guy to have. But when you go with the upside of what you have in your pipeline, he's probably going to get closer to booted out of the rotation rather than stay in it. For what I've seen, and it's not just the last 3 games and 18 innings, it's the opponents that he's done it against. Seattle and the Dodgers and the Padres. And he's gone out there and he has not allowed a lot of hits, not walked a lot, and the strikeouts are the most impressive part for that. So I think Dustin May and Kyle Leahy are not a part of this rotation in a couple of years. I think Michael McGreevy has changed my outlook of being a guy that's probably the 4th or 5th option. It could be the 2nd or 3rd option just because of the bulldog mentality that he has with the potential of having some swing and miss stuff.
Yeah, it's McGreevy for me as well because of the strikeout stuff. Because I always knew he was an innings eater. I mean, you look at him for the most part this year, he's basically gone 6 innings in every start. That's why last year I said he'd be their MVP this year. That's not surprising to me. And I thought, okay, if you have a number 4 pitches to contact, get you through 6 innings, it's pretty valuable for a team. But if he starts to add strikeout stuff and this starts to become something that is sustainable, not so much the 9 strikeouts in a game, but can he strike out 7 a contest, 6 a contest on a regular basis? Now you're talking about a guy that starts to lift up his ceiling a little bit while also bringing that floor up with him. And if you can get these kind of outings from Michael McGreevy, that's definitely a guy that locks himself into place in your rotation and a guy that could potentially be confident in starting in a playoff series. So I would say it's McGreevy for me because, like Alex said, it's not like he did this against the Rockies and Nationals. That would be one thing. Doing it against the Dodgers, the Padres, and then Seattle as well, that's an incredible stretch for him, especially to be showing this kind of strikeout stuff.
I think McGreevy is probably the correct answer, but I'll make a case for Dustin May real quick. Because in his last 6 starts, he looks like the guy that we were hoping the Cardinals could make him into. And maybe every bit as importantly, this gives me confidence that the Cardinals in the future can do this. Because what Dustin May represents is not just what he's going to be for the Cardinals this year or beyond. It's also, hey, can the Cardinals do what the Giants used to do? Where they go to the market and they say, hey, we're going to go get Robbie Ray. We're going to go get Carlos Rodon. We're going to get these guys who, if we tweak a couple of things in their arsenal, we believe they can be something more than what they were with their last team. Or if we get them on the rebound from an injury that was, for whatever reason, influencing their results, whether it be fastball velocity or the way that they were able to shape their arsenal, whatever it may be, we think we can get them back on track and we can get the best versions of that pitcher once again. If the Cardinals can now do this and they can be the team that rehabs an image the way that, I don't know, they did 20 years ago, that really changes some of what they can do in the free agent market or in the trade market, where they can go buy low on players, and then you get to the offseason and you can either decide, all right, we're going to keep them around, or you can give them the qualifying offer and maybe they go elsewhere and you get a pick for them, or you trade them at the deadline, whatever you decide to do. But you now can be one of those teams that's in a conversation for one of these rehabilitation arms. And previously, I don't know that that was something the Cardinals were able or willing to do. So the fact that they're showing the ability to do this with Dustin May, I think is really significant, not only for Dustin May, but also for the Cardinals as an organization to be able to show proof of concept. And now you can go back to the market and say, hey, look what we did with Dustin May. We can do the same thing for you in your career, as long as this continues.
Gives fans confidence, too, because for the last however many years, every time they'd sign a pitcher that you'd think they're trying to get the best out of, you wouldn't have any faith in it. Whereas the Brewers bring somebody that you've never heard of in, and it's like, well, where'd this guy come from? So it does give you faith on that. He'd be second on the list for me because of what you said. To me, it's not going to change the outlook of him for the team, though, in terms of his role with them moving forward, as much as it's going to change the outlook of what you said, proof of concept, but also what you can get in return for Dustin May.
Yeah, I mean, it's what the best organizations do. Like, I mean, BK made reference to the one that I thought of. It's San Francisco. I mean, the way that they did it year in and year out, where it was it was like Alex Cobb, and then Carlos Rodon's the lefty that comes in. It's like, this guy can't really throw strikes. And then, boom, has an awesome year, and then gets the payday from the New York Yankees. And that proof of concept, I think in this room, we've all agreed, hey, the pitching staff as a whole, Dusty Blake and them, have done a pretty good job of fixing guys on the fly. Like, we always make reference to Jordan Hicks in 2023, I believe it was, where at this time of the year we were talking about DFAing that guy, and then they're able to fix him, and they end up trading him to Toronto, where I think they got Swanson in that deal. Well, they've been able to do that, and people within the organization trust the pitching staff, but you also got to show that proof of concept from outside, right? And Dustin May saw the first step of this, which was, hey, look at how we were able to keep guys healthy this past year. So that intrigued him, as he said in the past. So that was one thing in your favor. And then if you can prove, A, we can keep pitchers healthy, and B, by also keeping them healthy, we're also able to get the best out of them, yeah, that becomes a great selling pitch when you have those free agent meetings down the road.
We got back-to-back texts, one from Starvin Marvin, another one from the 618. From Starvin Marvin, if May pitches at this level, would you consider signing him long-term?
No.
From the 618, guys, they're trading Dustin May at the deadline. He has no future on this team. Those are back-to-back texts with very different outlooks for what this all means for Dustin May. I find him to be fascinating. I have no idea what their plans are going to be with him. My guess as of today is they probably stick to what the plan was going into the season, which means you trade him and get an asset for him at the trade deadline, and that's when you probably call up, whether it be Hunter Dobbins or Quinn Matthews, whoever's ready to go by the time you get to the trade deadline. I'm not as dismissive of the idea of signing him to an extension as T-Bone and Alex are, though. I've always been more open to that possibility because Dustin May is not some old hag that you're potentially going to be continuing to bet on. He's 28 years old. This is a guy who right now should be in the prime of his major league career. I don't know what the contract would look like, though. He has significant injury issues in his past. He would basically have at that point one season since 2020 in which he was healthy and good over the course of the entirety of the year if he continues to pitch the way that he has recently. And he's not a guy that has huge strikeout stuff. So what's the contract going to look like for a pitcher like Dustin May? I think that's really where the question comes in, because there may be a team out there that's willing to do a lot more than what I would be for that kind of a profile.
Yeah, reason I was so dismissive of it is because I just wouldn't bet on him staying healthy in the long run. And that's why I just wouldn't do the contract extension with him. I'm okay with if you go to the deadline and say, hey, he's been healthy, he's been good, we're in this thing, let's hang on to him rather than trade him. And then we'll just pick up the team option. We'll run it back with him because at that point, there's no such thing as a bad one-year deal. And then if he deals with injuries, it's whatever. He's just not a guy that, unless I see him put it together for really 2 consecutive years of staying healthy, would I be willing to bet on that and say, let's try and figure out a contract? And then to BK's point, I was just trying to figure out a comp for him. I don't know who the comp would be that's dealt with injuries that has
like
signed
Nick
a contract.
Pivetta, something like that. I know he had the QO, I think, attached to him.
Yeah, he didn't. And I don't think he dealt with injuries. It was ineffectiveness that really cost him money on
I'm
the
just
market.
looking for guys that would be similar in terms of what they could potentially command on the market. Maybe Jack Flaherty. Jack Flaherty got a 2-year, $35 million deal. He's had a lot of injury stuff in his history, so something like that might be in play. I mentioned Nick Pivetta because he got a 4-year deal worth $55 million. If that's the kind of market that we're talking about here, Shane Bieber, 2 years, 26. If that's the market that we're talking about for him, I'd be interested in that. I don't think I would be opposed to them signing him to like a 2 or 3 year contract worth somewhere in that $15 million per year range. I think that's reasonable.
I would just hope that someone else can come in and fill his spot in the rotation. That's why I wouldn't do it, because one, of the injury, but two, I just hope your pipeline can fill it. Or if I need to go replace him, I'm hoping you're swinging a little bit bigger and more consistency than in the market.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's a good pitcher. $15 million ain't a whole lot, and you're gonna need guys that can start for you. Right now, I don't exactly look at their pipeline and say, hey, there's a ton to be able to immediately fill with this rotation. And I think Palante might be a guy that you look to deal in the offseason.
There's
or
not
potentially
people
non-tender.
immediately, but I think if you're just going on, let's plan for 2 years, what his deal is now, I think your hope is by the time that he graduates out, or by the time he hits the market again in 2 years, then you're talking about guys like Doyle, Matthews, Motts, Senja, hopefully potentially getting to the point of graduating from the minors or getting close enough to where you feel confident projecting them into the season at some point.
Sure, but at that point in time, you can make another decision. Like maybe you decide at that point that you're trading him, or you've got other injuries that you have to deal with as well. I just don't think that I'm not outright dismissing the idea of it right now. I understand the skepticism, but I think he could work his way into maybe not long-term plans for the Cardinals, but like short 1 to 3 year plans. I think that could at least be reasonable. T-Bone, are you ready for our first of the 2026 Cardinals campaign?
If you're going where I think you're going, I never thought we'd get here.
It is time for the Cardinals bullpen circle of trust.
Baby.
Who do you trust? Who do you trust? Tell me who do you trust? It's the Cardinals Circle of Trust with BK and Ferrario.
Oh, boys.
I thought we'd just skip over this all season. Be like, nah, not worth it.
Why do you think that? Because we didn't do a top 20 Cardinals?
No, because, honestly, the Circle of Trust should be called the Tight Butt Cheek Circle, but it's gotten better. So that's why we're here.
For those of you that are new to the show, you haven't heard it before, you guys know I'm a numbers nerd. This is not that. This is not about the numbers. This is about when this guy enters the game, do you trust he's going to get out of it? Now, not every time will he. It's a bullpen, right? There are going to be situations where a guy throws up all over himself and just doesn't have his best stuff on any given day. That's going to happen. But when he enters the game, are you confident that they will leave either maintaining the lead or they'll keep the game where it's at right now to give the Cardinals another shot going into the next inning? That's kind of the general idea behind the Cardinals bullpen circle of trust. We will nominate some players. And if we get a majority of us that believe that player should be in the Cardinals Circle of Trust, they are officially entered in this year's edition
piss me off
of the Cardinals Bullpen Circle of Trust.
You guys are going to nominate somebody that I'm going to say adamantly no about.
Can I get our first one?
Yes, sir.
I think the first one's simple. I know yesterday did not go his way. Riley O'Brien has been magnificent so far this season. He's throwing 100. He's got a slider that completely falls off the table. I mean, the arsenal is up there with what Ryan Helsley was throwing previously. He's second in Major League Baseball in saves so far on the season. Did not think that was in play for anybody on the Cardinals, much less Riley O'Brien. Riley O'Brien, to me, is a no-brainer. He is the guy that I trust the most on this team. He has earned the closing opportunities. Riley O'Brien should be in the Cardinals bullpen circle of trust right now.
I don't disagree with you there. I think he's taken on that role, and he has not given it back this season. And I thought this would be a save-by-committee season, and it has not been. So I'm with you.
We have our first member then, boys, because I'm with you guys. I mean, that guy's disgusting.
Your vote didn't matter, but it's fine.
I know, but I mean, he's disgusting. Like BK said, it's like Helsley-esque stuff, but I think it's better than Helsley, especially when you think about what Helsley was last year.
I think his fastball's better than Helsley.
I think his fastball, and I think his slider's just as good as Helsley's was.
Yeah, that's the wipeout pitch. That's fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, what he did yesterday, I don't remember who the batter was, but he made him look silly swinging at that pitch way out of the zone.
I honestly thought the guy that should have been voted in first should be the captain of the Circle of Trust, and it's Gordon Graceffo. I think that guy, every time he steps on...
I can't tell if he's being serious or not.
I'm being serious.
I will not vote for Graceffo. I have no faith in him.
Are you serious? I feel like every time that guy comes out there, I feel comfortable with it.
Did you watch yesterday?
Yeah, I watched yesterday, but I've also watched all season.
My glutes
you just
are very
said
tight
sometimes he's going to have knock it out of it.
He makes my glutes look good after he's been out there.
No, see,
he walks the world.
That's fine, but
he doesn't
find his way out of it.
I don't think that's sustainable. This is a classic BK and Ferrario argument.
The description of this segment was sometimes it's not going to look pretty, but more times than not, you feel comfortable he's going to get out.
I don't feel that way.
Yeah. I feel like this season I have trusted him. Recently, it hasn't been pretty.
Graceffo is rejected from the Circle of Trust.
I do not feel good when Graceffo enters the game. I did for a little while early in the season. I'm glad we didn't do this previously. I think he's been really lucky this year. I think when you look at the overall ERA numbers, it looks good. Under the hood, it's not pretty, man. And I think that is reflected as I'm watching these games. It's the lack of command that makes me nervous with him, and he puts runners on all the time. So for me, I do not think Graceffo is a guy that I trust in that way right now. I do think there's a righty in the bullpen other than Riley O'Brien that I trust.
That'd be Soriano.
Oh, okay. I
want to nominate Soriano.
George Soriano, to me, is a guy that I think is officially in that mix. He is your 8th inning guy right now. He sets up whatever you're going to with Riley O'Brien. George Soriano has been awesome. What a great pickup by the St. Louis Cardinals this offseason. Remember when people were pissed that they got him?
Well, because it was a weird trade. They traded reliever with more control that could go down to the minors for a guy that didn't have options.
And guess what? Great move.
It worked out perfectly because I trust when he comes in. Now, he does have a walk issue as well, but oh my God, his changeup's disgusting on top of the slider and the fastball. He's working with 3 pitches. He has solidified himself as that third big arm coming out of the bullpen. So I agree. I would put Soriano in.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Okay. How about JoJo?
I'd put him in.
Yeah, I think he should be in
Lately,
there.
I feel like he's not been as good, but I still kind of trust him. I feel like it's always every year with JoJo.
Then that he shouldn't be in.
No.
Lately, because that's what we just did with Graceffo.
No, Graceffo, I haven't trusted all year, to be fair.
Graceffo was
He's
good
the one
in the
who
first
said
month of the season.
who liked him early on. I haven't liked him, period, most of the year. But JoJo, I feel like every year has like a weird 1-month stretch where he kind of loses it a little bit, and I think we're there. And then he comes back and he's just dominant. So yeah, I would put JoJo in.
All right, so we're all in agreement on JoJo Romero. Do you guys have anybody else you'd like to nominate? You mentioned Gordon Graceffo. He got shot down, Alex. Is there anybody else you'd like to nominate
and there
for the Cardinals bullpen circle of
There
trust?
shouldn't be anybody else to be nominated.
Anybody thinking?
No.
Just throwing it out there?
Please.
No.
Go ahead.
Ryan Stanek.
No.
Does Stanek
No.
belong in the circle of trust?
No.
Stanek.
I would be more likely to vote for Stanek than I was for Gordon Graceffo. I'll tell you that much.
I agree.
No.
But when you look at Stanek's numbers here of late, a guy that did have a walk issue over his last 5 appearances, has only walked 1 batter. Mm-hmm. He has struck out 6 and has not allowed a run, and he's only allowed 2 hits so far.
Cool. No.
I'm not there yet. I need to see it a little longer because I am gun shy after what happened in the first, month of the season, where he was walking the world and I never knew which version of Stanek you would get. One night it was great, the next night it was awful. And I think that's kind of what you deal with Ryan Stanek. We knew this coming into the season. The guy does not have great command, but his stuff is legit. If he has his command on any given night, the guy can strike out the side and you feel great about it. But when he doesn't, he's going to get hit really hard. He's going to walk the world, and that can put up some potentially crooked numbers. So I'm still a little nervous when he enters the game, so I would not vote him in. For me right now, I would just have the 3. It would be O'Brien, Soriano, JoJo Romero. You go to those 3 guys, I feel like you're going to win the baseball game. When you don't, those butt cheeks start to clench a little tighter.
I agree. I wanted to put him out there to see where we were at because the beginning of the year happened. If that hadn't happened, he definitely would be a lock into the circle of trust. But early on, he was walking the world. I'm surprised you don't want to put in...
You guys got some backwards-ass theories on this stuff.
What?
The first month of the season happened for Stanek, but 5 games we're going to give it to him. Graceffo's first month of the season.
We didn't put him in.
Yeah.
We voted against Stanek.
You were like, give me a little bit more and we'll go on to it.
You
were warm to the theory.
Because one of them strikes out 30% of the batters.
17 innings and was good.
Now,
when you say good, what do you mean by that?
I mean, he got out of the innings for you. He was very efficient, and he got through with no problems. I was not concerned when he was on the mound.
We disagree on that. I did not feel that way. He gets hit as hard as just about anybody in the Cardinals bullpen. He gives up a lot of contact, and he walks too many guys. And he does not strike opposing hitters out very often.
In the first month of the season, he didn't.
He did. In the first month of the season, he was getting through these. He did, man. In his first...
He had 6 walks.
Yeah, in his first 6 outings.
17 to 3rd. I'm looking at the whole month.
I know, but in his first 6 outings, he had 6 walks.
That's fine.
That's not fine.
You went off of comfort, and I felt comfortable.
You felt comfortable when he had 6 walks and 6 outings.
I felt comfortable because he was going to find a way to get out of the inning unscathed.
My point with the bullpen arm is I don't need to have that thought. My whole thing when you come out of the bullpen is you better miss bats and guys better not get on base. And he did not miss bats and he let guys get on base.
But he gets hit really, really hard
out there.
I just threw him out there because he's been pitching well over the last 6.
I don't know why you keep going back to this. We didn't vote him in. We said there is
considered it.
I specifically said...
considered Graceffo.
No, you didn't.
I think Stanek right now is pitching better than Gordon Graceffo. Currently, what we've seen lately, Stanek has been better than Graceffo. Earlier in the season, Graceffo was better than Stanek. I don't trust either of them to be able to sustain their success. If you're asking me which one of them is more sustainable, they both walk roughly the same number of batters. Which of them do I think is more likely to get out of those situations? It would be Stanek. They both get hit really hard and they walk a lot. One of them strikes people out, the other one does not. One of them throws 98, the other one does not. So which one would I trust more out of the two? The guy that strikes guys out, throws 98, and lately has been better.
You're wrong, but it's okay.
I'm surprised BK didn't put Rule up
I
for
feel like that's a
nomination.
really good
expecting
argument
it.
right there.
I was expecting
I don't
it.
feel bad about anything I just said. I feel very confident about my current situation here. I'm good. I'm resting on these laurels over here.
No. You guys are wrong, but it's okay.
What's your argument in favor of Graceffo? I'd love to hear it.
Outside, he gets outs.
I'm so confused. The whole point of the circle of trust is your gut feel when he's on the mound.
Yeah,
if you
my
feel
gut
comfortable
tells
with
me
him,
he's always
that's
flirting
my
with
argument.
danger. To me,
There's no numbers involved with this.
No,
You're giving all of the
did I
numbers.
just
This
say
was
a
a
number?
gut feel.
The numbers,
My
though,
gut tells
back
me he's
up
gonna
how I
fail.
feel.
Yeah.
It doesn't need the numbers. This is a gut feel segment.
Yeah, and my gut says he can't keep allowing a bunch of base runners and get away with it.
That's my gut.
I didn't even say a number, right?
My
gut's
gut
wrong.
says, hey, when you walk a bunch of dudes and get hit really hard and you don't strike anybody out, that doesn't seem overly
And to be
sustainable
fair,
to me.
I said when we put Soriano in, he walks a bunch of guys too, and my gut has told me that maybe he will be a guy we
But
regret
he
putting in.
strikes guys out.
Exactly.
There's a difference there.
You guys are wrong, but it's okay.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's okay to say I disagree with that. It doesn't mean
I just
we're
did.
wrong.
I said you were wrong.
No, that's not what you
That's
said. You
Tony.
said we're wrong
Yeah.
I learned
because
from
you're
the best.
mad and you disagree with what we're saying, and that's okay.
Oh,
You want a
I'm
hug?
mad.
No, you are mad, and that's
mad.
okay.
I'm mad.
You're mad.
314. Yeah, you
Nah,
are.
Keep saying I'm mad.
Don't
I'm
say
gonna
I'm
get
mad.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
mad.
mad.
Gonna
I'm
get mad
definitely
if you
not
keep
mad.
saying it.
Don't say it. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. We'll see if Alex is back with us coming up on the other side. We're in or out here on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK, and it is time for you to unlock your inner champion. The place to do so is with Victory Men's Health. Are you ready to feel like you did 3, 5, 10 years ago? Because now is the time where you could make that happen. Go to victorymenshealth.com. Book your first appointment today. It's a super easy process. Put in your name, email, phone number. Tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you, and then tell them what it means for you to unlock your inner champion. When you do that, they'll get ready to book that first appointment for you. And when you go in, you will have a consultation with a licensed medical provider. They'll do lab work for you. That'll find out where 70 plus biomarkers are. It'll tell you where all those levels are at, and then they can put together a personalized plan for you to unlock your inner champion. I was able to do this, and if I can do it, that means you definitely can over at Victory Men's Health. Whether it's low testosterone, weight loss goals that you're trying to meet, maybe it's sexual health that you need a little bit of help with, they've got you taken care of at Victory Men's Health. They're ready to unlock your inner champion today at Victory Men's Health and online at victorymenshealth.com. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are in or out here on BK and Ferrario.
Went over there, Ferrario.
Yeah, it like hit the wrong spot the moment we went in.
Smoked last night?
No.
Did you?
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, no.
No fruit.
Of course
but
not.
Smoked a cigar.
Had
Didn't know
fruit
which
notes in
direction
it.
you were going with that. All right, boys. In or out, Nolan Gorman will be the starting third baseman for the majority of the games in the second half of the season for the Cardinals.
That was a good caveat added in there. I'm still saying in. I don't think there's anybody that is worth right now putting in his spot. And I think you still hope that he can find a way to reach his ceiling like Jordan Walker was able to this year. So I don't know that he can, but there's nobody else in the organization I look at and says, this guy's got a better, higher upside play than Nolan Gorman. So I would say that he's going to remain the guy for the entire year.
Yeah, I'm in as well. The whole season was about learning each individual player on the team. You can make the decision to move on from him in the offseason, but in season, he's the main guy.
I'm with you. I'm in. Alex?
Guys, in or out, you'd call Philadelphia to ask about Matvei Michkov this offseason.
In. I think he would be a really interesting option, and we'll get into this more coming up here in about 10 minutes.
I would say out. I feel like we don't see it recently as often, where a guy disappoints as a high-level draft pick, gets the change of scenery, and then hits his ceiling. So I would say out. I would think you're just kind of taking a shot that's just not going to work. It's a shot in the dark. So I'm out.
I'm in. I'd call. I think, and I won't sell the farm for our next segment, but I'd get aggressive for this guy in terms of trading.
Guys, in or out, the St. Louis Cardinals will trade from their catching depth to upgrade the Major League roster at this year's deadline.
I think I'm in. If you're going to trade something to improve your roster, that's what you trade from. And I do wonder if I've got a little tinfoil Ferrario going in me right now. I wonder if that's partially why you haven't seen them make the move on Crooks to not continue to elevate his service time at the major league level. And that may be something that is more beneficial for a team that you're trading him to. So I'll say in.
I'm in as well. I think it's the one area you can trade from that doesn't hurt your future, as long as you're not moving Rodriguez, who isn't that catcher. But if we're talking Crooks or Bernal, I don't think that hurts your future.
I'm in as well, and I'd be curious what you could get for him as, like, the prize of your thing. Like, I feel like you could get a pretty good arm in return. I think he'd be an overpay for a middle relief reliever, which they probably need to target as well at the deadline. But could you make him the prize and put a couple of like lottery tickets together to go out and get like a number 3 starter that could help you at the deadline? Maybe. I think that's possible. And we've seen how much teams value catchers. I mean, look at what Patrick Bailey went for this weekend.
First round pick and a prospect.
Yeah.
And he's terrible offensively.
Yeah. So
great defender, but.
And Crooks is regarded as a pretty good defender as well, and with potential for upside with his offense. I think you could get something pretty good at the deadline if you're willing to trade him.
All right, 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out here on BK and Ferrario. From the 314, in or out. If Walker makes the All-Star team this year, he will win the home run hitting contest in Philadelphia. I do think if he makes the All-Star team this year, he will be in the home run derby. I think he's a guy that, as of today, I would have in it.
I don't buy into jinxes, but I'd be very worried about him being in that home run derby in that time of the season. So I'd say out.
I will say out because I think there's a chance you could see someone like Alonso go back and do it again, which that guy's the king of it. I do buy into the jinx. And if I were advising Walker, I would say don't do the home run derby because it will screw with your swing.
James Wood did it last year, right? Am I remembering that correct?
Yes, I think that's right.
I feel like he did.
Not 100% sure.
I don't know if I watched it a whole lot last year.
Murakami will probably be in it this year.
Yeah.
Cal Raleigh's got to be in it, right?
I don't know. He hasn't been as good this year.
I would assume Schwarber will do it. It's in Philly.
Probably.
So probably Schwarber will be in it.
I wouldn't doubt that Harper maybe volunteers to do it too.
Ben Rice will probably be in it from New York. Mickey Moniak might do it. He's in Colorado right now. Walker, I think, would be one of the top guys, though, that they would give a call to.
Say no.
And I think,
say no.
I think he would do it. Sal Stewart will probably get an opportunity to be in that as well. He'll try and get one of
the kids that's been playing really well to go and do it.
Yeah.
And Walker still fits as a kid.
Because you're going to want a hometown guy you want a couple of the young guys to do it, and then you want some big names to be a part of it.
Dela
If you can
Cruz
get
would
that,
be
you're
another
probably
one.
good. Yeah.
I think he's had another really good start to the year, but we'll see if he holds up this time around.
Yeah, I think Walker would definitely be somebody that would be a pretty big get if they're able to get him. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for in or out. Guys, in or out, the Patriots will get back to the playoffs this year despite their harder schedule. I think so. I believe in their quarterback.
I'd say in. I believe in the quarterback, and I think they upgraded their roster this offseason.
I'd say in because I believe in the quarterback, and if you believe all the talk that's been going on that they're getting A.J. Brown, you give him a really good weapon, yeah, they'll make it back to the playoffs, even with a tougher schedule.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. You can always check us out on YouTube as well at youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. Coming up next, Alex mentioned it. Should the Blues get aggressive and look at one of the top players from a couple of years ago draft? We'll get into that coming up on the other side here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals fell to the Padres on Mother's Day 3-2 as they split their 4-game set in San Diego. They are off today. They'll be back in action tomorrow when they start a 3-game set at the Sacramento Athletics. Andre Planta will be on the mound tomorrow night for the Cardinals. 8:40 will be first pitch. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. You got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Saw a couple of reports over the weekend from a guy that covers Ottawa, who apparently has good information on the St. Louis Blues, or just league-wide good information. Bruce Garriock, I believe is how you pronounce this. He said the following. 1, league executives say that Jordan Kyrou of the Blues is available. You're looking at a high-end player, a top prospect, and a first-round pick. Quote, the Blues want a king ransom for him, a league executive told the Ottawa Citizen. He then added that the Citizen is reporting that the Senators kicked the tires on Colton Parayko. The asking price was set at a high-end prospect and a first-round pick. Now, that's not surprising. We saw at the deadline the Blues basically made the deal, and then Colton Parayko came back and said, yeah, no, I'm not going to Buffalo, and the price for that was a high-end prospect and a first-round selection. So that all not altogether surprising on that one. The Kyrou one is where we really got some potentially new information on what they're looking for. Alex, when you hear that hey, Parayko might be available, Kyrou might be available, what do you make of it? And what do you think about the prices that are reportedly associated with each?
I mean, I make of it, they're trying to upgrade the team to make them better right away. And that's what you do with Parayko. I mean, if that deal would have gone through, you're talking about a 19-year-old defenseman and a first-round pick. So they'd have 4 first-round picks in this year's draft. And then the Ottawa report on Jordan Kyrou, like that, at least it kind of plays in line with what we've heard. But if you think about it, they're going after a high-end player, 2 top prospects, and multiple first-round picks. Like, they're trying to get all of the ammunition possible to make a big deal in the offseason to try and make their team better. Now, what that player or who that player is, what that deal looks like, I'm not sure. The Parayko one, we already saw the deal may go through. So it'll be interesting to see if another team comes to the table and offers it for him now that you know what another team was willing to pay in the trade that was accepted. And then you got the will Parayko accepted. The Kyrou one is the one that I understand it. You ask for the moon. You ask for a king's ransom. I do think you have to come off of that a little bit if you want to move him. If you have an appetite to move off of Jordan Kyrou, you're going to have to get one of the high-end player or the top prospect in the first-round pick. And I know people will hear me say that, and it's the conversation we've had of, well, I'm not taking anything less for Jordan Kyrou. I agree, but you have to be realistic. It's the same conversation we had about Brendan Donovan this offseason. You got to be realistic. I don't know if a team looks at that like a high-end player with a top prospect and a first-round pick. That's like the starting point for a Jason Robertson or a Brady Tkachuk. And I don't know if I'd put Kyrou in that same light. So that's the one that I think I would come off the ledge a little bit with it and say, like, all right, can we get 2 of the 3 to make myself a little bit more appealing?
You want to get crazy real quick?
Sure.
On a Monday?
What if San Jose called? They said, we'll give you the number 2 overall pick for Kyrou and Parayko. What do you say? Because that's the equivalent of a high-end player, 2 firsts and 2 prospects, and trading that for the number 2 overall pick. Because if that's what the asking price is for the Blues, that is the value that they associate with those players. So you would effectively, instead of trading them for pieces, you'd be trading them for a piece. You'd be packaging it for something of significance. And in this scenario, that package would potentially get you the number 2 overall selection. How would you feel about that if you're the Blues?
I think I would do it. I don't feel great about it because you're losing Parayko, and I think you're light defensively now, especially on the right side. But I have, what is that, $15 million in cap space available to me now on top of what I already had going into this offseason. So, yeah, if I'm getting the 2nd overall pick and my pick of Caleb Malhotra, Ivar Stenberg, any of these defensemen, I think I'm making that deal. Because I'm not giving up in that scenario you just presented Am I giving up any of my first-round picks?
No. Let's say that's the 31st overall pick.
Okay, so then I also have the ability to go, I could take a defenseman at number 2 and then also get 2 forwards at 11 and 15 if I think
trade
the
up
forwards
with
are
11
good.
and 15 and
try and
get 2 top 6-ish selections in this year's class.
I would do it. I would make that trade.
I think I would do it as well because wanting to move on, forget about the Cairo part. Like, I think you probably have to move on from him. But moving on from Parayko probably makes some sense because he just doesn't fit with your timeline. And then you can go out and pick a defenseman at number 2. You've got cap flexibility if you want to go out and try and make some deals in the offseason, or at least just get cap flexibility moving forward. I would do it. I'm kind of with you. I don't know that I feel great about moving it in the process because it is just one player for 2. But your hope is that with the guy that's taken second overall, you're potentially drafting a guy that's going to be a stud for you.
You could also then go trade for Jason Robertson. Or something of that.
Or you can, because the way I look at this is I'm replacing Kyrou with let's say they don't take the second overall pick as a forward. Let's say they take the defenseman Chase Reed.
Okay.
I'm replacing Parayko with Chase Reed.
Sure.
And then I'm replacing Kyrou with Justin Carbonneau. And then let's say you trade 11 and 15 and move up to 7 and get Ty Lawrence. I'm replacing Kyrou with Carbonneau and Lawrence. And then I'm replacing Parayko with maybe a better prospect than what that Radim Murtka is from the Colton Parayko trade.
And you've got Juracek coming through as well.
So now my defense is all set in terms of the youth and the upside. And now my forward group, I've added a guy that can play into my top 6, middle 6, hopefully, on top of a Jordan Kyrou that's replacing, or on top of Carbonneau who's replacing Kyrou.
Do you think this is something that San Jose would be interested in?
I don't, because I don't think they'd want Parayko. I think if they were making the deal, they'd say, we want Adam Juracek.
They signed Dimitriola, or they added him.
I think
they
that was
Nick Leddy.
I think that was I don't know how Nick Leddy's going to be there
are you
very
selling
long.
me on this idea?
The reason that I'm bringing this up, their defensive core is pretty old. They've got Klingberg.
And that's why I think they would say no to Parayko. And I'm not saying Parayko's
Those
old.
guys are all UFAs other than Olov going into next year. They have nobody under contract long term right now.
I think Parayko helps them win now and helps them win probably in the next 3 years. And I don't know, what's his contract look like? Has he got 3 years or 4 years? So he's probably helps you the length of that contract. But if I'm Mike Greer, I'm looking at this as, but what's going to help me in year 4, 5, and 6? Because I've got Macklin Celebrini, I've got all of these guys. If I draft a defenseman at 2 overall, that guy's going to be here for me for the next 10 years.
Parayko's got 4 years left.
4 years, so 3 of the 4. And then I think if I'm them and I say, well, we want Adam Juracek, that guy is now a part of my core, where I don't know if they'd say that with Parayko.
Do you think the Pacific rather is wide open though?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think if they add Kyrou and Parayko, they could be at or near the top of that division
I think
next
they're
year?
the best in that division.
And that would be the case for it.
I don't know if that helps them win the cup right away, though. That'd be my concern.
Maybe not, but that's hard to do, right? Like, they're not going to make any move this offseason that allows for that. You put yourself in position, though, if something weird happens with Colorado or Dallas or Minnesota or maybe any of the 3, you could potentially be in that next tier of teams. Like, I don't know that team would be all that much worse than what Vegas is right now. And Vegas is, this series away from being 1 series away from the Stanley Cup. All you got to do is beat one of those 3 teams from the Central Division in 1 series. That's basically all it requires if you win your division in the Pacific. So I don't know what they would want to do here. I don't know what other potential trade packages they would be able to get for the number 2 overall pick. I can't imagine there would be a whole lot that has better players associated with it, though, than Kyrou and or Colton Parayko.
Yeah, it would just be better picks and more picks with this one.
Or bigger prospects where it's kind of a lottery if you don't know what you're going to get.
Chicago right now apparently is aggressively trying to move up because they want to assure themselves they get Ivar Stenberg. They have the 4th overall pick and a lot of top prospects to deal.
If you're San Jose, would you rather have that defenseman, Chase Reed or whoever they decide is the top guy, or Kyrou plus Parayko?
I think I'd rather have Kyrou plus Parayko because Parayko helps the development of some of my younger defensemen that are going to be on that team next year. And Kyrou immediately goes in to play with a Macklin Celebrini because of his speed. But if you're Mike Greer, you haven't made a whole lot of missteps in this rebuild. And the concern is a number 2 overall pick trading for 2 guys that are really good on paper, but what do they look like when they come to my team, and do they help me get that next step? Because if they don't within 3 years, if they don't help you advance in the playoffs and go deeper into a playoffs, then you kind of look at that as, now we just maybe set ourselves back versus what we could have gotten with a 19 or a 20-year-old kid.
That's the thing. It's the opportunity cost of that number 2 overall pick. I don't think the money really plays into it here. Not that you brought that up, but they don't have any money concerns right now. Next year, like this offseason, they have $40 million in cap space. The following year, $80 million. In 2028, $100 million in cap space.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what Macklin Celebrini is going to be like. I want $25 million a year, please.
Yeah. I mean, they've got a whole lot of nothing on under contract long term. Celebrini's going to be the guy that breaks the bank, no doubt about it. But even then, like they've got a little bit of time before they have to make that happen either.
Let me address this text on Air Comfort Service text line from the 636. Only problem is getting just one piece for the two of them, even with it being the second pick. If that pick is a bust, you're screwed. I look at that as the other way. Yeah, I'm taking a chance on that draft pick, but if I just keep running it back with the same guys, because it's pretty obvious you're not getting what you want for Jordan Kyrou, because that's multiple years you've tried to do it. You tried to move him for the 7th overall pick from Seattle, and they said no. You tried to move him to the Islanders this in trade deadline season. They said no. And Parayko, you don't know if he's going to be willing to accept a trade anywhere. So if San Jose is the spot he's willing to go, and I'm getting two guys out that I think might not be in my plan long term for a guy that is legitimately coming in to automatically be a part of your core, yeah, you take the chance of him being a bust. I don't know if it sets you back as much because Parayko is not going to be the same guy in 2 years.
Correct.
And Jordan Kyrou, he's an 8-ball right now. You don't know what you're going to be getting from him year in and year out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's a part of their plans. And if that's the case, you basically have three different directions that you can go with either of these two individual players, right? So option number one, you do what we're talking about here. You package them together, or you package them with something else and try to get something better than what you already have. That's one option. Option two is kind of what we heard last offseason, where they were in talks about potentially acquiring like a J.J. Peterka for Jordan Kyrou, I believe is the way that was potentially going to go. And so that would be a like for like. It's a hockey trade, and you could get, Peterka for Kyrou or something similar.
Yeah.
Option three is you're actually going to take less than what the player is right now in hopes that you're winning in the future. So you trade Kyrou and or Parayko for prospects, picks, etc. Those are kind of the three different directions that you can go. The reason that I brought this part up is because I find it to be really interesting as the possibility of acquiring something that you deem to be better than what you already had. And that's what the number 2 overall pick could potentially represent, is a decent upgrade from one of these two guys, both for the here and now and also for the future.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's something the Blues would definitely do, but these are the kinds of things I hope that they look to explore in the offseason. I think a lot of this stuff is going to be available for them because they have so many different avenues they could go down, depending on what Alexander Steen and Doug Armstrong have in mind for their offseason.
That's what Doug told us, where he's like, we have a lot of things to use if we want to get aggressive and move up. It's just a matter of, one, is the player willing to go to the place you're trying to get aggressive with? And two, are you willing to part with those to move up and get the player you think is going to be ready to jump right in?
In 10 minutes, there are two players in particular that seem to be under the microscope right now for the Cardinals when it comes to their offensive production. One of them, I think, is an interesting comparison to a guy that just got DFA'd over the weekend. Tell you about that in 10 minutes. Junk Drawer next year on 101 ESPN. We've got an old TV in our house, and we're thinking to ourselves, what are we going to do with this? What is the plan? Because it ends up just going down into the storage area, and it just sits there, and it collects dust, and you don't want to get rid of it. You don't want to just throw it away. You don't want to go into a landfill. So you're wondering, what is the plan here? Well, now I've got the place for you and for me to go. It's Pay More. Check them out today. They are available right now in St. Louis. They have 2 new locations which have opened up, one in Maplewood, another in Baldwin. It is a fantastic resource. You got to check this place out. You go in and you can get cash for your electronics. Take in what you have, whether it's a TV, a computer, iPhones, cameras, tablets, so much more. The process is unbelievably quick. It's transparent and it's stress-free. You will get cash paid to you on the same day that you go in. Even if they can't give you cash for it, they can also go ahead and dispose of it for you, and they're going to make sure you don't have to worry about this. They will wipe all that data professionally for you. So check them out today. It's Paymore. Paymore, Paymore. Check them out today. They buy, sell, and trade electronics for you. Check them out today at Paymore. You guys see, let me ask this a different way. Do you guys know anybody that's on the GLP-1s?
I do, yes.
Like Ozempic, that kind of stuff?
No.
Yeah.
This is not a judgmental way at all of saying this. I'm surprised by how many people I know that are taking them right now. And I saw this posted over on social media over the weekend. PepsiCo closed 2 Frito-Lay plants, 430 workers in California and 454 in Florida. Campbell's shut down its factory for chips in Massachusetts. Smucker took a nearly $1 billion loss on Twinkies. Hershey's volume fell about 5% over the last quarter. And a lot of people believe, maybe this is like A plus B equals Z, but this is, a theory at least, that in part, this is because of GLP-1, where people are using it. They're not craving some of these, unhealthy snacks as much as they once did. And so a lot of these places are not getting the same business. I mean, I think beer companies, some of them are seeing some of this stuff from whatever reason, whether it's people are drinking differently now, drinking less, whatever. I find it fascinating, man, because it legitimately is changing people's habits. And whether it's 3, 5, 7, 10 years down the road, I really wonder what it's going to mean for the foods that people are consuming, what it's going to look like for these people in the future. I'm fascinated by these GLP-1s, man. I think they're really, really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not on Ozempic, but I mean, I've changed my grocery shopping and eating habits since we've had kids. Like, I used to just go to the grocery store and buy all of that crap because it was me and Katie and I didn't really care. And then it's like, once you have kids, you just have a different outlook on life to where it's like, I should probably, stop buying this stuff. And then Katie's really big on the red dye and everything. So she looks at the ingredients. So you stop buying things. So that's kind of my mindset is my grocery shopping looks a lot different compared to what it used to.
It's a weird, I don't know if maybe this happens a lot over time, but it feels like a lot is all colliding at once, right? For a whole bunch of change. When you talk about AI, you talk about now Ozempic, which could be playing a part of this stuff as well, because you're right. I mean, like my uncle, for example, is on it, and I've noticed that he doesn't eat as much. And I've noticed, like, when I went to his house, I think it was last summer, if I remember correctly, I could just tell like they were buying less of the junk food, or there was less stuff that was around the house, which was kind of an interesting thing to see because he was one of those that would eat all that junk food before.
I find these things interesting because I'm not a doctor. I don't know enough about it to speak like on the scientific side of things, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people that it's great for. But my understanding of it, which is a bare bones basic understanding, is the way they work is it reduces your want for things. Mm-hmm. So you still like things. Like, you still enjoy chips. Again, I'm not on them and I don't understand them completely, but you still enjoy chips. You just don't have that same craving for them. You don't feel like you want chips the way that you used to, right? And so it changes that aspect of the way that your brain works. And there was a new study that came out last week that I was reading about, that it's not just that, but it's in general, it can potentially change some of your wants, where your desires are different than they once were. I find all of that. I mean, listen, I'm not like opposed to these things. I'm on Prozac. I've got some stuff that helps me. That changes the way that my chemicals work in my brain as well. And it's been a huge boost for me, where a lot of my OCD tendencies are not as bad as they once were. So I'm all in favor of do what you got to do to get you through the day. But man, it's interesting to me that I wonder what this looks like 10 years from now. What kind of habits is this going to change for people? Is it just the food? Is it more than that? Are there other things that people are no longer going to be interested in the way that they once were? I don't know.
Ozempic or not, I'm still avoiding the fruits and vegetables.
I'll tell you the part that surprised the hell out of me when you said Smucker's owns Hostess. I had no idea. I had to Google it. Apparently, they bought them back in 2023. Like, damn, that's the peanut butter and jelly company, right? Smucker's, they own Hostess. It's probably why
everybody's all combined nowadays.
That's why Twinkies taste
There's
different.
There's like 6 companies that own the world.
That's why Twinkies taste different.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll get into some NFL quick hitters. But next, these 2 Cardinals players seem to be coming under the microscope for their offensive production. One of them, I think, might end up profiling similarly to a player that just got DFA. We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN. So there are two Cardinals players that seem to be coming under the microscope for their offensive production lately. One is Victor Scott II, who it's not just fans getting on him. Now we are seeing him actively lose playing time over the last couple of days as they've been going to Thomas Ajayci, who hasn't exactly taken advantage of his opportunity either. The other is Pedro Pages, who I can tell you this. Coming up at 2 o'clock, I've got a sense that at least one member of their show is none too thrilled with one Pedro Pages. So stay tuned for that coming up today on the Fast Lane. But Pages was hitting like 260 as recently as, I think, 10 days ago. Now that's back down to around 200, and his OPS plus was above league average as recently as 10 days ago. Now it's 30% below league average again. He has been awful. I think he's 0 for his last 19 overall as a hitter. So those two guys not exactly performing well offensively. Can I give you guys a quick comparison for Victor Scott II? Because his current situation reminds me a lot of a guy that I really liked when he first got up to the big league level. And in 2023, I believe it was, he was a player that I think actively helped the Arizona Diamondbacks get to the World Series. And that is Alek Thomas. 5'9", $175, played unbelievable defense in center field, but has just never been able to hit. He was never able to figure it out offensively at the major league level. He has never been even 15% below league average or better. His OPS plus by year, 75, 74, 65, 82 last season, and then so far this year, 55. He's just not a quality major league hitter. And he was over the weekend DFA'd by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they said, we're done. This is not working. There's no use in us continuing to go along this path. Now, he doesn't have quite the same value on the bases that Victor Scott does, but he's one of genuinely the best defenders in center field in all of Major League Baseball. And a contender in Arizona just told you that's not enough. We need more than just that from our center fielder. My fear right now, it's one of those intrusive thoughts, is that Victor Scott is on the path right now that Alek Thomas has been on with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and I think it's a very genuine fear. And I think he's kind of got a ticking time bomb with this. Not so much this season, because really the only one you're worried about, I guess, is Lars Nootbaar, but you're going to lose playing time. But DFA isn't a concern. But like when Joshua Baez continues to develop and whatever they decide to do with Lars Nootbaar, and if Nathan Church continues to outdevelop Victor Scott, that's the moment that you look at and you're like, okay, well, what are you offering to the table? Because sure, you can steal bases like probably the best in the league, but it doesn't matter if you're not getting on base, and you can't continue to just lay down bunts and hope to leg them out at first base. And if we can get something close to the style of defense that you provide with Nathan Church, who might be hitting the ball better, then I think that's the end of Victor Scott. So, I mean, I'm with you. I think he's probably got the rest of this year and maybe a couple months into next season, and if everything goes the way that the Cardinals are hoping in terms of development, Victor Scott could be looking at either the fourth outfielder or be looking at either a trip back to AAA.
I would put the pressure on even earlier than that, because, I mean, we're a month away from Lars Nootbaar potentially returning. And when Lars Nootbaar returns, Vic's out of the lineup, man. As of today, he's just not been as good this year as Nathan Church. Church has been better. And you look at it defensively, I think it's close enough, and Vic has a far inferior arm.
I was going to say the arm probably makes
Church.
it to where Church is either right at, if not better than him overall defensively.
And then you add in what they're doing on the offensive side of things. It's no contest right now. One of them is a capable major league hitter in Nathan Church. And the other is, I mean, borderline unplayable right now. He's striking out too much at 26%. He's not putting the ball in play in those situations where at least if you put the ball in play, you can potentially leg it out to first. And then even when he does, it's not producing at any kind of a real level. And man, for as much as we've talked about him impacting the game on the bases, that hasn't been consistent enough either. Since opening day, he has 4 stolen bases in his last 37 games. That ain't going to play, man. If you're going to be this bad offensively and your arm doesn't play in center field as well as you would hope, and you're only having 4 stolen bases over the 40-game stretch, that's not good enough. And I like Vic. I want him to be good for the Cardinals, but, I mean, there comes a certain point in time where you can't just keep waiting. He's the same age right now as Alek Thomas is. He got a later start because Thomas got into the majors at a younger age, but they're at the same point in their respective careers when it comes to age, and Thomas still has multiple years left on his contract, but the Diamondbacks said enough is enough. You're not producing at the major league level, and I think Vic, sooner rather than later, is going to be the fourth outfielder for this team if he's not able to get this thing going offensively.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to know, like, are they willing to put him as the fourth outfielder, or would they send him down and see if he can kind of figure it out and then potentially bring it back up? Because if you put him in the fourth outfielder, you might as well just kiss his offense goodbye. I mean, he's not going to get enough playing time. And by the way, who's the guy he's replacing defensively late in the game when you bring Nootbaar back? Because if Nootbaar's healthy, I would say Nootbaar's a pretty good defender that I'm maybe not replacing Scott.
I think it's probably more of as a pinch runner than anything else. He's just coming in to run for guys.
So there's like truly no value in that role for the most part, outside of maybe pinch running. Because again, I just don't know if
probably
there's
just
anybody.
For Newt.
Yeah, and I don't know that maybe they would probably put him in left potentially for Nootbaar, but again, that just kind of depends on what happens. The reason I brought that up is because would it be better to send him down to the minor leagues and just say, all right, go to center field and let's go. Let's get some reps. Let's see if we can figure this out. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, and they probably would say, well, what happens if he loses confidence? Well, guess what? Then you know what you have, which is a minor leaguer. You don't have a big leaguer, right? He played himself into this spot. If he wants to be a major leaguer, he needs to go down to the minor leagues, get some reps, start to show some promise offensively, which, by the way, he didn't really do at AAA because he never really got an opportunity to do it much because he got called up from, I think, AA, if I'm not mistaken, because of the Carlson injury. I think that's probably the path you have to decide, because when Nootbaar comes back, you're talking about between Sajaci and Scott. And right now, if you believe Scott is still a potential everyday outfielder for you in the long-term picture, then it's not best to have him just sit on the bench and come in as a pinch runner. He's got to go down to the minors and get reps.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. We also had a few people that were taking their shots on Pedro Pages. What have you guys made of it? Over the weekend, he had a couple of bad moments on Saturday in particular with the passed balls. His offense is, it is what it is. He's just not going to be a good offensive contributor. He's going to have his moments where he hits for a little bit of pop, but he's not a great offensive player. Do you think something needs to be done here? What would be your plan?
I just like, how much better defensively is Jimmy Crooks is my question.
He's not better defensively than Pedro Pages.
So then why are we acting as if let's get Jimmy Crooks up because he can hit?
Yeah,
you don't know if that translates to the major league level. You saw for, 12 games last season? Maybe not even that, 7 games. He didn't hit. I know that his numbers are out of this world if you want to go that route. Like, he's hitting home runs and he's showcasing power for AAA, but you don't know if that translates to AAA. And as much as Pedro Pages is frustrating, because like what we just talked about with Victor Scott, like if the reason you're staying in the lineup consistently is because of a Gold Glove defense and great base stealing, Pedro Pages' reason to be staying in there is because you're really great behind the plate. And if you keep making mistakes, then you lose that role. I don't know who's being replaced there, so I don't think I would make any change. If anything, maybe you try and go an extra day with Herrera behind the plate, but I don't see anything getting better from Pedro Pages because I don't think Jimmy Crooks all of a sudden just becomes a major league hitter.
There has been an improvement from Crooks on his strikeout rate lately.
So he's really cut down that.
Now, I don't know if that is related to the pitching that he's seeing, like Indianapolis and Toledo. I don't know exactly what their pitching staffs look like, and maybe he's just, hey, those teams stink pitching-wise, and he's been able to take advantage of them. I'll have to claim ignorance here. I don't know. But
just guessing, Toledo's might be thin because that's the Tigers, and the Tigers are going with 2 bullpen games in a week. So
there you go. And Indianapolis is the Pirates. So I don't know exactly what their situation is on the pitching side of things. But either way, even if it is bad, him improving what that strikeout rate looks like is a positive. That's a good thing for the Cardinals. I know people aren't going to want to hear this. They're not at the place yet where they're ready to make that kind of a move, and they have to be committed to it. And what are you going to do with Pages in the event that you do make that move? Is he just now a third catcher at the major league level? Are you sending Pages down to AAA? Like, what's the plan here?
I don't think there's a point to send Pages down to AAA. There's no benefits to him going down there. Like, you're hoping the offense changes. He's seeing it at major league level.
Years old. This is who he's going to be.
And there's no real value in having him as a third catcher.
Because he doesn't hit and he's not great defensively.
Pozo, for example, now it hadn't worked out, but at least Pozo, when you carry him as the quote-unquote third catcher, can also play first base if need be in a pinch and can pinch hit because of his bat. Now, I know it hasn't worked, but that was the thought process coming into the year. You're not pinch hitting for anybody with Pedro Pages.
No.
You're not playing him at first base for a rest day for Alec Burleson. You're probably going to put like Fermin over that. So, yeah, I I don't think they're going to do it. And to be frank with Pajes, it was a couple weird games over the weekend. I thought his defense had been getting better.
I agree.
He had a weird start to the year, and we talked about it then. But I thought over the previous 2 or 3 weeks, it had been looking better. He was catching base stealers, wasn't having the weird pass ball he had over the weekend, and then this weekend happened. So I would say you're still riding Pajes for at least the next couple of weeks, and then we can have a conversation if the defense continues to look bad.
It's also worth noting, I believe he leads Major League Baseball in caught stealing so far this year. He has more base runners caught than any other catcher in the league.
Plate on that.
And he's at a 30% caught stolen rate so far this year. Major league average is 23%. So his arm is playing. They do seem to like him as a game caller. And it's just these weird passed balls that I don't know what to do with that. Because it was an issue for him at the beginning of the season. It showed up once again over the weekend. And I don't know if this is actually what it is. It looks, the appearance of the way that this plays out on the television, it looks like it's lazy plays. It looks like he's not moving behind the plate. I don't think that's actually what's happening. There's maybe something more to this than what meets the eye, but it does not look good when you're watching it on TV. So that's the stuff that needs to get fixed here, because if you're not going to be an offensive contributor, and I don't think any of us expect him to be much of that, you damn well better show up in a big way on the defensive side of things. And there have just been too many of those lapses this season to be able to point to it and say, yeah, we know he's not a good offensive player, but look what he does for us on defense. When I watched that game on Saturday, it's a close game, and there are runners that are moving up because of his lack of defense. You've got to be very sound behind the plate and not just make some of those splash plays. It's got to be more of the routine stuff behind the plate. You're catching 120, 150 pitches a game. You better be locked in for 150 of them if when you go to the plate, you're not going to produce on that side of things. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, how do the Blues catch up with the other teams currently in the Central Division? We'll give you our thoughts coming up here in just a little bit. NFL Quick Hitters next here on 101 ESPN. Let's dive into some NFL quick hitters alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. You've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. You guys want to get into some of the projections for the upcoming NFL season?
Love it.
So, over on The Athletic, a guy by the name of Austin Mock put together, he's got some kind of an algorithm where he looks at who the best and the worst
Mr.
rosters
Mock is
are.
mocking the season. Okay, interesting.
There you go.
That was good, man.
Thank you.
That was good.
Thank you.
He puts
should've been his
together
title.
who the best and worst rosters are in the NFL heading into the 2026 campaign. You guys want to guess who the top 5 teams are in that regard?
Sure. We doing best or worst first?
Best rosters in the NFL, according to one Austin Mock of The Athletic.
Rams will be up
The Rams got to be number 1.
Rams are number 1. Ding, ding, ding.
Seahawks.
Number 2.
there. Bears? I feel like they had a pretty good.
Not in the top 5. Good team, not a great roster according to these projections. Very much in the middle of the
good.
pack.
Ravens.
Ravens are rounding out the top 10, right ahead of my Green Bay Packers.
This is advanced numbers, so
Right ahead of the Ravens.
Chiefs will be up there.
Chiefs are number 4
The advanced
on this
metrics
list.
love them. Buffalo, I would assume the advanced metrics love them
Buffalo.
with Josh Allen.
Buffalo is number 3 on this list. You have one more team to round out the top 5. It's the Rams, Seahawks, Bills, and Chiefs in the top 4.
And it's not the Eagles?
It is not the Eagles.
NFC or AFC?
AFC.
Is it
Denver?
Patriots?
Denver is 6.
Oh, dang.
Patriots are not in the
I
top
figure
10.
Patriots won't be there since they haven't gotten Brown yet.
They're middle of the pack.
Figure the quarterback, though. But
That's fair.
I'll give you one more guess.
Jacksonville?
Top 5 teams in the NFL according to this metric.
Cincinnati.
Based upon their rosters.
There's no way it's Cincinnati.
And no. It is the LA Chargers.
No.
3 of the
Yeah,
top
no.
6 teams, according to this metric, reside in the AFC West.
That is wrong.
The Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos in that order. All right.
Woof.
Bottom 5 teams in the
this is
NFL.
gonna be easy.
I bet you guys will rock this one.
Dolphins.
They are
Yep.
the worst team in the league.
Jets.
They are the
Just gonna be
second
the
worst
Cardinals.
team in the league. They are the third
Browns.
worst team in the
Oh, yeah,
league.
Browns.
They are the fourth
Raiders.
worst team in the
Oh, I'm going
league.
Saints.
And the Raiders are the 5th worst
okay.
team in the league.
That one I thought was going to be easy, man.
I thought the Raiders were going to get a benefit of the doubt with Mendoza signing a center.
It was Raiders versus Giants, and I
Okay.
went Raiders.
Can you name 6? Because it's like the bottom 6
Is
and
it
then
Saints?
everybody else. No.
Is it
Who'd you let?
Giants?
Giants, I feel
No,
like
they're
they've got
7.
pretty decent
7's
roster.
worse. Titans are the. Alex is really good at this with the
I'm
worst
good at
teams.
the bad teams. I almost
He's
said
like,
the
I
S
know who
word
I'm
there.
betting against every week this
Okay,
year.
if it wasn't going to be Titans, I was going to go Steelers. Were going to be high on my list as well.
Do you guys had some big disagreements on the top end of it?
Yeah, I don't think the 3 of the 5 best teams are in the AFC West.
That's based upon roster. That's not saying they will
I
have the
get
best
it.
record, but if you look at their roster, these are the teams that they
I
believe
just
to be the
disagree
best
with
in
the
league.
Chargers. I think the Chargers have shown me enough that I don't think I can plan on them. Whether it's they don't get the job done or they're just not healthy, I'd have the Eagles above the Chargers.
That's my. I think they might be a better team.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at their roster, assuming health, assuming that this is what you're going to be going into the season, we do this every year, but I will continue to do it. Their roster's really good. The Chargers have a ton of talent. I mean, you look at the defensive side of the ball, some of the blue chip talent that they have over there, and then you look on offense, they've got a legit stud quarterback. I think they've got a really good running game going into the year with Omarion Hampton if he's able to stay healthy this year. Their offensive line has 2 really good tackles. They were both hurt last year, and so they had to use backups for most of the season. I don't. Top 6 might be a little aggressive for them, but they are a team that's very talented.
I think I'd have the Ravens or the Eagles above the Chargers. Those would be the 2 teams that I would. I get the Chiefs thing. I know people don't like it, but I get the Chiefs thing when you got the best quarterback in the game.
The Ravens, I don't know if their roster's that good.
Yeah, I think they remind me of the Cowboys, where they've got like 2 or 3 top end level players. Like for the Cowboys, it's always, hey, they have Dak, they have CD, they have Pickens. At the time, they had Parsons. Then it was like, okay, but then what after that? And then it was like just a steep drop off. That's what I
Especially
feel
on
like
the
with
defensive
Baltimore.
side of the ball for Dallas. For the Ravens,
That's what I feel like at least raises it a little bit for the Ravens. And I know they dealt with a ton of injuries. I feel like their defense should raise it a little bit.
I don't know, man. I think they're kind of resting on their laurels. I think the Ravens were a lot better talent-wise on the defensive side of the ball a couple of years ago. I think they've seen some roster deterioration. Now, you add in Trey Hendrickson, maybe that changes some things because your pass rush should be significantly improved. But I don't like their pass catchers offensively. I think you've got Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and a whole lot of on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't know, man. I don't know how good they're actually going to be. The other thing with them, now this is not a roster talent point, but I do think the defense will improve with Jesse Minter in charge now as the head coach for them. You could see something similar to them with what you saw for the Seahawks defense a couple of years ago.
And who was the draft pick that they just added? Was it
added an offensive lineman?
Oh, was it? That's who it was. For some reason, I thought they added a defensive player.
Zion Young in the second round.
That's maybe what I was thinking of.
Yeah. I agree. Chargers the big one for me. I thought the Bears, but I guess now that they traded away from their wide receiver room, the defense had some issues with it. I guess it makes sense that they're not top 5. I don't know about you guys, but like when I was running through in my head the top 5, I feel like it's 1-2 teams up at the top and then a significant drop off.
I think it's 1. Yeah.
Just the Rams?
To me, it's the Rams.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the Rams and everybody else. I understand the Seahawks defense.
I think
puts
the Seahawks
itself maybe into that category.
Losing Kenneth Walker is a massive thing to try and fill.
Now this is a big outside of, but outside of JSN, who on their offense scares you?
No one.
Nobody. I mean, maybe the running game, but with no Kenneth Walker.
Who's the running back?
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
Charbonnet's hurt.
He was just down the
drafted a guy at the back end of the first.
But I don't know what Charbonnet is going to look like when he comes back healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think it's probably just the Rams at 1. The other team I considered was Buffalo and Denver. But again, I think they're kind of on a separate tier.
Bills, like who's the receiver that scares you?
I like the pickup of was DJ Moore, who they had in the offseason.
He's fine. He was the number 3 receiver on the Bears last year.
I get it. I like DJ Moore. I think he's going to be pretty good in that Bill system, and he's their number 1 target. I mean, he's got nobody
deep threat
else
now. Finally,
yeah. And the other thing, like with Denver, but it's the same with the offense, right? Their defense is unbelievable.
They're amazing.
Quarterback, Bo Picks, as Alex calls him, he's average, and then the offense just has, to me, a bunch of like really solid number 2s, not a number 1.
It's as wide open as the NFL has felt outside of the Rams in quite a while. You don't. The Chiefs are no longer that team where it is everybody agrees they're clearly at the top. You don't have the Patriots right now. You don't have the Seahawks of the Legion of Boom era. I think it's pretty wide open, especially in the AFC. You go into this season, if you told me any of the Bills, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Ravens, the Jaguars, go with the Patriots as well, maybe the Texans if that defense is able to take a step forward, any of those 8 teams, hell, I'll even throw in the Bengals into this mix because that offense could be special this year. Mm-hmm. That's 9 different teams that I just mentioned that at least could have legitimate Super Bowl aspirations of getting there. I don't know about winning, but getting to the Super Bowl this year. You don't see that very often in the NFL nowadays. In the NFC, we've seen it a little bit, but not in the AFC. It's been pretty dominated by the Chiefs or the Patriots over the last 15 years.
And are we sure the Chiefs are a top 5 roster in the NFL? Because like last year, like I would have thought that
Fair
last
question.
year, and they didn't. I know we were saying like, well, forget about wins and losses. Well, if you have a good roster, you're going to win. And they didn't win last year, and that wasn't just because Mahomes got hurt, because he got hurt late towards the end. Because I look at their roster, and Travis Kelce at this point had a better year last year than 2 years ago. He's more named than game at this point. Chris Jones is getting up there in age. By the way, their 2 best secondary pieces, they're LA Rams on the best roster in football. When you said their name in the top 5, I was a little surprised. I'm not saying they're like an average roster. They're definitely not a top 5 roster in my opinion anymore.
Now, there's a gap. So there's, based upon these rankings at least, if you trust them at all, the Rams are clearly number 1. And then there's a gap, and then it's the Seahawks who are a clear-cut number 2. Another gap, it's the Bills who are a clear-cut number 3. And then there is a tier, which is pretty significant. That's basically like Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Eagles, Ravens, Packers, Jaguars, 49ers, Patriots, Lions. All of them kind of in that same category together. And I think that probably is representative of where I would land with those teams as well. I don't think there's a significant gap between any of them. I think they're all kind of right there, just in the same mix. And it becomes a conversation of, do you guys stay healthy? Do you see something take a step forward? How's your draft class do? Those kinds of things that will ultimately determine who from that category that I just referenced is ultimately going to be a contender in that conversation with the Rams, Seahawks, Bills, etc.
Yeah. It's kind of where I'm with it as well. I think there's a couple of clear-cut teams that are better than the rest, and then it's just a lump of teams who succeeds. And again, I can understand them putting them there. I don't know if on paper they're a top 5 roster, but you've got the best quarterback, which I think can raise the level of the team.
Looking at this list, that's the thing that's clearly bumping them up is Mahomes. Now, as I think we saw last year, he can only take you so far, right? Superman can only do so much, and last year was the first time we finally saw that it just wasn't enough.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, how do the Blues catch up to these other teams in the Central Division? It sure doesn't seem like an easy task. We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends over at Classic Air Care, the company that has been making people comfortable since 1926. And right now in the month of May, get an AC tune-up for $89. And at this time of the year, that is so important. If you haven't had your HVAC system checked out, if you need it cleaned, if you maybe have some questions about having it get you through the hot summer, that's where Classic Air Care comes into play. They've got technicians that have been doing this for 30-plus years. So when they come out, you are getting expert opinions, you're getting honesty, and you're getting incredible customer service with a company that has been doing so for 100 years. And with Classic Air Care, they've got something called the maintenance agreement where you can have them come out and check the unit twice a year. And if you ever have any issues that pop up throughout the year, well, you get priority scheduling because you're a part of that maintenance agreement. They've got 100 orange vans with the penguins on the side out on the road, which means they are going to get back to you within 24 hours and provide you with 5-star service coming to your home and taking care of your HVAC system. So call them today, or you can schedule online. Just do me a favor. Tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. That's Classic Air Care and classicaircare.com.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals fell to the Padres yesterday 3-2 as they split their 4-game set in San Diego. They'll be back in action tomorrow night when they visit the Sacramento Athletics as they start a 3-game set. 8:40 will be first pitch. Andre Palante will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Got a quick update on Ahmad Hardy. This comes from WJTV in Mississippi. College football player injured during a shooting at a concert in Mississippi. We knew that. According to the Missouri football team, Hardy was shot early Sunday morning. Running back underwent surgery in Mississippi. He's in stable condition. They have added some more details to this. According to WJTV 12 News, the shooting took place at a place called the Kamikaze Club in Laurel, Mississippi, sometime between 1 and 2 a.m. on Sunday. They said the concert was originally scheduled to be in Hattiesburg, but moved to Laurel. And according to police telling WJTV 12 News, Hardy was shot in his upper leg. He was then transported to Forest General Hospital in Hattiesburg. There are currently there are multiple persons of interest in the case, according to this story, but no arrests have yet been made. So that is the latest on Ahmad Hardy. It is the first that I've seen of where he was shot. According to this story, they say that the police are indicating Hardy was shot in his upper leg and then transported to the hospital. So fingers crossed everything is going to be A-okay for Ahmad Hardy. It sounds like he is recovering well, all things considered. But, not great if you're just like, first, personal level, hope everything's okay. And then secondary, given what we do here on the radio, talking about sports for a living, certainly with me covering Mizzou, as a side gig, an award-winning journalist. By the way, covering Mizzou, award-winning columnist, not journalist.
Not the time, man.
Nobody cares about being an award-winning journalist.
Not the time.
This is a big story for Mizzou football. I mean, he is considered to be one of the leading Heisman contenders heading into the 2026 campaign. And man, you just don't see guys recovering from gunshot wounds in college football or the NFL very often. Like, that's just not something I can even have much of a point of reference on what the timeline could or would be for something like this. So we're all kind of in uncharted water here. Hey, if somebody tears an ACL, it's horrible, obviously, but we kind of know what that timeline looks like. Typically, 9 months, you're back on the field, and then within the next year and a half, you're pretty close to somewhere around 100% if all goes according to plan. Pitcher gets an injury and they have Tommy John, and next year you're done. And then after that, about 18 months later, the hope is you get back to what you were previously. With this, I just don't know how anybody could tell you the honest to God truth on what the timeline's going to be. It's May right now. Man, they start playing football in like 3 months. That's pretty quick. It's going to be here before you know it. So I don't know. I don't know what this means for Ahmad Hardy and for Mizzou football in that matter.
Yeah. I mean, especially where location of the gunshot wound is, like, that's, I mean, the concern is what damage it did to something like that for a guy that needs that part of his body to perform. So like you said, the personal side of it's the most important thing, and I can only imagine, the mental hurdles that he's trying to go through right now of everything that just took place. So but yeah, from Mizzou's side, I mean, on the professional side of it, like, that's the identity of the Tigers. And if you don't have Ahmad Hardy, man, you're going to have to really find ways to adjust and adapt this season.
According to, we got a text that said, guys, what about Ricky Pearsall? He was shot in the chest, according to reports. Somebody else mentioned Brian Robinson Jr. That's probably the one that I can think of that would be most similar. I believe he was shot in the leg, if I remember correctly. So that would probably be the one that is most similar, and I don't recall, I apologize, what exactly the timeline was on his recovery from that. And it's 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks after that he was able to get back onto the field. But I don't know how similar they are. You could have very different injuries based
There's a lot
upon
of
what
muscles
the results
and
are.
everything in the leg that, one injury versus another could really impact the individual.
No doubt about it. So we're obviously hoping for the best when it comes to Ahmad Hardy and his recovery. We'll let you know if we hear or see anything else when it comes to updates on his current status. All right. So, Alex, on the Blues side of things, as we're watching these playoffs, it's hard not to recognize how much better the Avalanche and the Wilds, and for that matter, the Stars appear to be compared to everybody else in the Western Conference right now. Those are the three teams the Blues are directly competing against in this division.
Yeah, if only you were in a Pacific Division team.
How do the Blues catch them? What's the plan look like to be able to get into the same conversation with those three teams?
I mean, I don't know if there's an easy answer. Yeah, wait. I don't think there's an easy answer for you to just get in there. Probably goaltending. Have elite goaltending is how you catch them, because the only way to slow down those teams is to limit the amount of goal scoring that they do in size. And that's, if you're an optimist, you look at the size of the young defenseman that you have, with Jiricek being 6'3", what Logan Mailloux just looked like, and then you've got Philip Broberg, if you want to compete with these teams, and I'll throw in, and I know they're not in the same division as you, but I watched Carolina on Saturday night. You've got to be big in terms of the ability to win board battles and control the puck so that you're not turning it over. And you got to have speed, because what Colorado excels at is the transition. What Minnesota excels at is the transition. And why I think Dallas lost that series, one was injuries, but two, they struggled with the transition. They weren't very fast, and they need more speed to their team. So I think when you look at it, the Blues don't have the size with their forward combination. They just don't have a lot of big guys that can win puck battles, and they just lack the speed, the effective speed that can make the difference through the transition. So maybe you have some speed coming, maybe you have some size coming with Justin Carboneau, but those would be the two areas that when I look at Colorado and Minnesota right now in that series, man, if you're not fast or you don't have the ability to fend off that team on the forecheck, you're going to be losing that game unless you have elite goaltending.
Yeah, my thought process was defense and goaltending right away. And I think Army has kind of given you their kind of breadcrumbs as to that, because think about everything that they've been targeting when it comes to trade rumors, whether it comes to the conversations about drafting people. It's typically around defense, right? I mean, when we talked about the Jordan Kyrou rumors last summer, it was circled around Bo Byram, if I remember correctly.
And Noah Dobson from Montreal.
So you were having those conversations. Defenders. You take a look at what they were talking about, what they wanted in return in the Parayko deal. It was a defender. I think that's what they're trying to do, is build kind of from the back and then out. So I think their idea is, okay, we'll become really good defensively. We'll be elite defensively with our goaltending as well, with Hofer and whoever the next goaltender is. Maybe it's Binnington gets another contract, and that's how we stop them. And then hopefully you have a top line that develops, right? Thomas can take Snuggerud and Holloway with him to that next level, and then you can kind of find those secondary pieces as you start to go through the rest of your lineup.
I just think you're lacking blue chip talent, man. I don't care where it's at. Whether it's forward, defenseman, goalie, I don't really care. I mean, these teams have it in spades. You look at what the Minnesota Wild have done. Man, they added one of the best defensive players in all of hockey. And they've got Kirill Kaprizov, who's one of the best forwards in all of hockey. It's no secret as to why they took a step. It's those two guys. It's Quinn Hughes, it's Kirill Kaprizov, and you add in Matt Boldy, who this year had 40-plus goals as well. Yeah, this is blue-chip talent, man. They've got superstars. You look at the Dallas Stars, no pun intended, they went and they made a super aggressive trade to go out there and get Mikko Rantanen, and on top of him, they also have Robertson and Johnston, and their defensive core is just stacked with guys that are among the best in the league. And that's not to mention Colorado, who has the best of them all when it comes to Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon, two of the best players, two of the top 5-ish players in the NHL right now?
I would say so.
Maybe? How do you get that? I don't know, man. Good luck. You either tank, you make a wildly aggressive trade, or you get lucky. That's pretty much the way that you go about this thing. And that's what the Blues have to do. They've got to go out there this offseason and really over the next few offseasons. I don't think this is a one-year fix. And they've got to find blue chip talent that's in that same conversation with Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota. And it's not just them. Vegas has it. Mitch Marner leads all playoff scorers so far this postseason. That's a blue chip talent they were able to add in free agency. Edmonton, it's no surprise they've had sustained success in the Western Conference. They've got two of, again, the 5 best players in the league. Anaheim out there this offseason, or what you've seen from San Jose, like they've got blue chip talent that's able to carry them. That's what the Blues are missing. I just don't know how you get it.
I think your best path to trying to catch them, with the exception of waiting, is to do like what the Carolina Hurricanes have done, because they don't have blue chip talent. They've got some really good players. I don't know if they have any Nathan McKinnon or Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes on their team. They're elite at shutting the other side down. Like they've allowed 10 goals so far in 8 games in the postseason.
My God.
Their goaltending is elite. And we talked about this with Mike on Friday with Frederick Anderson, but the reason their goaltending is elite is because the defense in front of them, and it's a full commitment. It's not just the defensemen.
Their star is their coach.
Yeah, essentially.
And their system.
Yeah, their system.
It's one of
their plays.
rare teams in the NHL that have that.
I think the only team. I can't think of another team that the star is the system in the NHL.
I mean, I think John Cooper showed that the system is a big reason why they won, because they played most of this season without Braden Point. They played most of it without Victor Hedman, and they still found ways to succeed.
I think you're
It's
probably right. I
those
think
two.
there's teams that have the system, but you don't talk about it because they have the stars. Like Florida's
Correct.
a team that I think of.
They have the system with Paul Maurice.
Exactly.
Kucherov had 130 points this year. Like the system, yes, it allows them to play within their structure, but then within that structure, they have one of the best hockey players in the world.
Yeah.
Carolina, it's just the structure. They've got good players, don't get me wrong, but I would say your casual hockey fan who like watches all 80 games by the Blues every year, all 82 games by the Blues, they probably aren't familiar with more than 1 or 2 players on the Carolina Hurricanes right now.
Yeah.
And that's not a critique of anybody and their lack of hockey knowledge. It's just they're kind of a nameless and faceless team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're I would say the most name recognition for anybody on the Carolina Hurricanes is Rod Brind'Amour.
Probably.
That would be my guess.
Probably the common hockey fan would probably be, the head coach, because he's been there with them since they've won the Stanley Cup when he was a player. But I will say to Tampa, like, yes, Kucherov is a big reason, but they were the 3rd best defensive team in the National Hockey League, and Victor Hedman played 33 games for him. Like sometimes the system just, you can plug and play with guys. Yes, you need the superstar that can put up points, but in terms of the West and the Central, that's the path. Like until you age out, which Colorado and Dallas would probably be the soonest to age out, but I don't think that's happening within the next 4 to 5 years. You're going to have to just be shut down quality defense to compete in that division.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone on BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, we're going to hit the rewind here on 101 ESPN. If you guys missed anything from the show, check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. That's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
Had the pleasure of speaking with Steve Ott earlier today, the Springfield Thunderbirds head coach. You'll be able to catch their playoff games right here on 101 ESPN. The next round begins tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Alex, before we get out of here today, Cardinals keep giving us reasons to believe. How'd you feel about their 2-2 split against San Diego Padres?
The split, disappointing for the way that it ended, but it's not like I think that the Cardinals actively lost that game. It was just a pitch that was a hell of a swing for the Padres. But overall, on just the stretch that they went on, I did not expect on my bingo card that they'd walk away from that 16-game stretch with anything more than 8 wins. And they exceeded that expectation and made every single one of those games close. So once again, the Cardinals continue to prove to me that the thought of them being a battery building team is just not going to be possible this year.
Yeah, it's been very impressive. It was a lot of fun to watch over the weekend. I know they didn't win those 2 games Saturday and Sunday, but had every opportunity to do so. Got to Mason Miller in a way that very few teams do. And then yesterday, literally 1 strike away from potentially putting that one away. Ultimately didn't go their way. I think that the fast lane may have a slightly different tune on that. If I heard anything from Andrew Marsh, I have a feeling he's going to be a little frustrated about some of the way that game went over the weekend. We'll talk about the Cardinals tomorrow. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. The fast lane is next year on 101 ESPN.